I've been wanting to play hardcore Minecraft again, but I didn't want to return to my old world, so I started a new one. No mods, except for aesthetics, no gimmicks, just me versus vanilla hardcore Minecraft. I do have a small rule, however. I'm not allowed to know the seed of the world. This should make exploration a bigger factor in surviving. I also prefer to not sleep through most nights, though I will have to sleep occasionally so that phantoms won't bug me as much. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. My spawn was incredible in this world. It was a sunflower field, but surrounded on all four sides by water. I decided to name it Sunflower Island. I chopped down my first tree and made my first axe and shovel. I cleared a spot and planted a wheat field. I started a small mine heading down. This would act as my base until I started on my starter house. My main food supply for now would be the salmon that were swimming in the river. I mined some coal and iron and crafted my first shield. I continued mining through the night. I started day one off by chopping down some trees and surveying the nearby forest. Next, I started building a basic layout for my starter base. At this point, I wasn't too sure what build style I wanted to go with. I knew I wanted to make this area feel like a small fishing village, so I took inspiration from Nordic fishing villages. I needed more cobblestone, so I went back down to the mines. I found a cave and decided to explore it. I found a good quantity of materials and decided to return to the surface. On day 2, I saw it was raining and decided to return to the caves for a while. I crafted a full suit of iron armor and an iron sword. I was down in a mineshaft and found my first diamonds. I continued working on my starter house. I made the foundation look like rocks stacked haphazardly. I finished the foundation and walls of the base. However, in order to finish the roof, I would need to venture out to territories unknown. The nearby hilly area seemed promising, but all I found were pumpkins and goats. I set out again, this time in the opposite direction. I managed to find a pillager outpost, which would be useful later. I also found a village, again really close to my base. This world seemed to be fairly lucky. It's definitely my favorite world gen I've found so far. I saved the village from burning down, and continued exploring the nearby area. I found some cows and decided to lead them back to the island. I got started on a simple bridge between my island and the mainland. I was getting tired of swimming across the river every time. On day 7, I decided to head out once again, this time to the north across the sea. I made a compass and set sail. I found a sunken ship with a buried treasure map, and it led me to a few diamonds and a heart of the sea. Still determined to find what I was looking for, I headed out to explore again. I didn't find much though, so I went back to the mines and found a pretty large cave. I found a few more diamonds and headed back up to the surface. Now that I had a diamond pick, I thought it was about time to gather some obsidian. I ended the day fishing in the river. I headed out to sea once again, and finally found what I was looking for. Spruce trees. I chopped a few down, gathering as many saplings as I could carry. I finally got started on the roof of my starter house. I used spruce as a trim, making a gradual incline. For the roof itself, I went with cobbled deep slate. On day 13, I finished the roof. The bridge was looking a little unfinished, so I added some more details, such as a railing and supports. I made a small path going from the bridge to my starter base, and stretched it going to the northern port of the island. My main goal for the northern side of the island is to make a large port filled with ships transporting goods into the continent. I don't get around to building any ships in this episode, however I will try to build one in the 200 days video. I made a small fishing dock on the river side of the island. I did a lot of fishing in these early days, mostly for food but also just to relax for a while. I continued working on paths and making the island feel a bit better. I was tired of manually mining for cobblestone, so I made a basic cobblestone generator. Next, I got started on the smokehouse. This is where I would be cooking and storing most of my food. I went with a similar style as the starter house, but on a smaller scale. I continued detailing and adding storage to the smokehouse. I thought it was about time that I went to the Nether, so I built a Nether portal. I was immediately ambushed by a ghast. I built a cobblestone barrier around my portal to prevent ghast from breaking it. My Nether spawn wasn't the best, but it definitely could have been worse. I gathered some quartz and returned home. I was running low on coal, so I explored some nearby mountain caves. I started working on a path between the starter island and the village. I went strip mining and found a few more diamonds. I heard a strange noise and went to investigate. I emerged into one of the largest caves I have ever seen. It was littered with almost every kind of ore you could find. I crafted a diamond chestplate, leggings, boots, and a sword. I wanted to get Fortune 3 on my pickaxe to make mining all of those diamonds more worth it, so I gathered some more obsidian to make an enchanting table. I bred my cows as I would need a lot of leather. I ran around killing wild cows to try to get some more leather. I killed a few more cows and built some bookshelves. I was only 3 shelves short of the full enchanting setup, so I killed a few more cows. I crafted the last few shelves and got to enchanting. I, unfortunately, didn't get fortune on my pickaxe. I went back to the mine to grab a few more diamonds. I crafted a diamond helmet and explored the abandoned mineshaft. I was hoping to find a cave spider spawner because I was in desperate need of experience. I found one and got started on clearing it out. I gathered all the materials I would need and started building an XP farm. I went with a super simple design. I'm not sure exactly who came up with this design as I've been using it for years. I added a bubble elevator to make it easier to get to and from the farm. I almost died several times while building it. Finally though, it was done. I AFK'd for a while and got a good bit of XP. I enchanted a few pieces of gear, though I didn't get very good enchantments. I continued enchanting, trying to get at least some protection on my armor. I did get Feather Falling 4 on my boots, which saved this playthrough more than a few times. I got Fortune 3 on my pickaxe and returned to the mines to gather a ton of ores. I smelted most of the iron I gathered and headed into the Nether. I don't remember what I was looking for specifically, most likely a fortress. I got returned to sender and returned home. It was around this time that I decided I wanted to make a raid farm. I started by gathering a ton of sand, wood for chests and hoppers. I set up a mini auto smelter to help smelt the glass. Day 34 and 35, I crafted a variety of other components required for the farm. I found a good place to build the farm. It was near the pillager outpost, but far enough away from the land that I wouldn't have any problems with pillagers spawning in the wrong place. One last component I would need before building the farm was a villager. The closest village to the farm didn't have direct access to the ocean, so I had to bring the villager across the land. After that, I got started on the raid farm.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till
I put the finishing touches on the farm, and spent all of day 41 looking for a banner pillager. I don't know why, but one just would not spawn. I finally found one in the evening of day 42, and went to go test the farm. And I forgot a bucket of water so the mobs wouldn't come down the tube. I fixed the problem and went looking for another banner pillager. Second test, and the raid spawned outside of where they're supposed to be able to spawn. I installed the FreeCam mod to help bug test the farm. I built everything correctly, the only thing that was different was that I rotated the farm 180 degrees, so I'm assuming that's what was causing the errors. I think I'll try to rebuild it in the next video. I forgot to mention that I have a custom resource pack, which retextures the totems of Undying to my old skin. To save you the headache of watching me try to fix the raid farm, we'll skip to day 48. I thought it was about time to start working on the northern side of the island. I built a dock, which could be expanded later. I continued working on the dock. I cut the beach away a bit to make it seem like a ship could pass through. I just realized though I never finished this project, so I'll return to it later. On day 50, I went mining for a while, and when I returned to the surface, I decided to light up the entirety of the starter island, making it a safe zone. Watching this back was extremely satisfying. Just like today's sponsor, me. Yes, that's right, I'm sponsoring today's episode. If you're enjoying the video so far, why not leave a like and subscribe? It helps the channel out and helps me feel good. You can also follow me on Twitter, @10starfish, or join my Discord server. I'm in the works on making a public Minecraft server, so it's worth it to join to stay up to date on channel-related activities. Anyway, back to the video. On day 51, I got started on building the storage building. I built it right next to the dock, as it would make sense for a storage facility to be next to where the ships would transport goods into and from the island. The file for day 52 got corrupted. I started working on the roof and building up the second floor. I continued working on the roof of the storage building. I gave the upper floor a bit of an overhang. I'm still not sure if I like it, but it does add character to the building. I finished the roof and started planning out the interior. I put the floor of the second floor in, and started putting chests inside. I chopped down some more trees and continued filling the storage building with chests. I ran the raid farm again to try to get some XP. It was still a decent source of experience, but only a single wave from one raid would spawn, rather than the entire raid. I started moving my items from the starter house to the new storage house. I don't have any footage of day 58, I'm pretty sure I just moved items all day. I went mining. I managed to find a few more diamonds. I decided it was finally time to get started on a super smelter. So I got started on the blacksmith building. I rebuilt the cobblestone generator inside the building. The dirt is where fire could spread to, so I made sure not to use any burnable materials there. I found a nice combination of cobblestone and tuff, which made the outside walls feel sturdier. I continued working on the interior of the blacksmith. I used the same cobblestone and tuff wall from the outside on the interior wall. I figured out a decent design for a super smelter and got started gathering materials, and built the super smelter. It was a smaller design with only 9 furnaces, which would be more than enough for now. I finished the super smelter and took it for a test drive. I had gotten a saddle recently, so I decided it was time to get a horse. I tested out a few, but the third one I could tell was very fast. I still need a name for it, so leave a suggestion in the comments below. I took my newly acquired horse for a spin, and eventually found a second village. I was looking for carrots, as the next project I wanted to start would require them. Unfortunately, this village didn't have any, but it did have a lot of bookshelves. I was returning home when I saw my village from a great view and admired it for a while. I got started on a small field near my base. I planted potatoes. I continued expanding the farm. I went mining for a while. I found an iron vein, though I didn't realize it at the time. I started preparing for the next major build. I got started on a simple villager breeder. It's a design I've been using forever, so I'm not really sure who the original creator is. There are two major reasons why I built the breeder outside of the spawn chunks. The first is that villagers tend to cause a lot of lag, especially when they're allowed to breed continuously. The second is that I want to build an iron farm in the spawn chunks, and I didn't want a village too close to it, which might cause some issues. I brought the first villager to the farm. When fighting off random enemies, a zombie dropped a carrot, which was what I was looking for. Potatoes work, but they have the side effect of dropping poisonous potatoes. Carrots are much better for this farm. I continued working on the breeder. I brought the second villager to the breeder and replaced the potatoes with carrots. The two villagers seemed to be getting along nicely, so I thought I'd give them some privacy. I put some finishing touches on the building. I helped the villagers finish the field by bone mealing and replanting some of the carrots. They finally made a baby, so I could test to make sure the farm was working. Next, I wanted to make a storage area for the villagers, so I could easily grab one when I needed it. I made the floor out of glass, as villagers can't claim beds while standing on transparent blocks. I used water to push the villagers into a corner so I could grab the villagers with a minecart. The next module of the villager system would be the job assignment area. This is where I could assign and reset trades for villagers. I laid the rail where I wanted villagers to go, then got started on the next module. This would be the zombification and curing system. This is where villagers would go to get turned into zombies, then I could cure up to 3 at a time. I found a zombie and got it in place. I finished covering the converting station. I recorded a time-lapse of me building the trading hall, however the file got corrupted so I lost it, and another one at the end. I continued working on the trading hall and finding decent trades. I managed to get Unbreaking 3 and Silk Touch. In order to convert villagers and get better trades, I would need to make splash potions of weakness. I didn't even have a brewing station yet, so I went exploring in the Nether. I grabbed some brown mushrooms, as that is also a requirement of weakness potions. After wandering around for a while, I finally found one. I almost fell to my death and had to pause the game to catch my breath. I made my way into the fortress and took on a few wither skeletons. I found a blaze spawner and got a few blaze rods. I made some splash potions of weakness. I got a villager with efficiency 5 and finally got mending. I cured the first batch of villagers and put them in the trading hall. I continued resetting trades and curing villagers until I got enough enchantments to make a decent set of armor. I needed more gold for golden apples, so I went back down to the mines. I enchanted my boots with protection 4, unbreaking, and mending. Good timing too, as they were low on durability. Experience was definitely starting to become a limiting factor. I got my chestplate and leggings enchanted up as well. I was getting frustrated at how quickly my XP was disappearing, so I decided to make a new farm. One that was so overpowered that I would never even have to think about experience again. That's when I found a guardian farm designed by ENX04. I had heard about this farm before, but I had never built it myself. I set out to find a jungle as I would need a lot of scaffolding for this farm. I gathered building blocks, soul sand, obsidian, chests, glass, and a variety of redstone bits. One thing that I didn't realize I would need, that I noticed way too late, was slime for sticky pistons. So I set out to try to find a swamp. I found a mangrove swamp, which are new to 1.19. I figured there might be a regular swamp nearby, so I ventured forth. I found a swamp and a dark oak forest as a bonus. I managed to get a few slime balls, at least enough for this farm, and returned home. I still needed a ton of iron, so I went to the caves. I finished gathering the materials required for the farm. I set out to find an ocean monument. I had seen one previously, but I couldn't remember exactly where it was. Turns out it was actually really close to the raid farm. I went inside and took out the 3 Elder Guardians. Time was running short, so I gathered my supplies and got started building on the Guardian farm. Now, as I said earlier, this replay file unfortunately got corrupted, and unfortunately I only recorded footage of the end of the process. I built the portal into the Nether and got the Nether sides all set up, and finished the build by placing a ton of soul sand on top of the ocean monument. I went back to the unaliving chamber to test the farm out, and oh man, was it crazy. Apparently about 100 guardians come into the chamber at a time. The farm is more efficient when you have sweeping edge, but I hadn't had a chance to get it yet. I got to level 50 with no issues, so I consider that a finished build. I wanted to get to level 100 before reaching 100 days, and I easily achieved that. I watched the sun rise into day 100. As I reflected on all the progress I had made so far, I realized how much I enjoyed the world that I had started to build. From the small fishing village, to the cave spider farm, the raid farm and the guardian farm, and of course the villager trading hall. Everything in the world felt special to me, and I can honestly say this is the most fun I've had playing Minecraft in a while. So, with that, I'll see you in the next one.